sitting there, laying down, doing nothing, and she couldn't fight for herself. Okay, this is a quote from the story from my English book. It's called Elements of an Argument Story, where I found the story of Ashley. It says, some said it was unnatural, others that it violated Ashley's dignity, that it was not in her best interest, and that it could lead down a slippery slope of parents modifying their children. Who's really free if parents are allowed to do this to a child? Like, that parents are going to be modifying their children all the time because they don't want to have to carry them around. They want it to be easier to put her in the car and stuff. That's not fair. We live in America where it's supposed to be land of the free and home of the brave, and there's no one fighting for these people. There are other types of people who aren't able to fight for themselves, the other mentally ill people with the other syndromes that some can't communicate, some can't see, some can't even talk, and there's no one fighting for them either. The problem for these mental people is they don't have proper human rights. People just take advantage of them constantly, day by day. They're tortured, neglected, and it's not fair that these people have to go through life like this. They're humans too. They may not feel like we do, or maybe they do. Like, we don't know. We don't know what it's like to be a mental person and to go through this type of pain. Through the research that I did over the last few weeks, I found a lot of mistreatment, a lot of torture that was done to these people. There needs to be proper mental homes for these people with caring nurses, because there are a lot of cases of nurses that mistreat these people. So why is a mental person going to want to go to a home to get help if they're not going to be treated properly? I'm going to tell you about all the problems, the causes, and then the solution to this problem. This causes a lot of frustration for these people. They just want to live and get through life, and they can't because of all the judgment that goes on to these people. According to New York Times, during the 1900s, the state began shunting people who left state psychiatric hospitals into prison-style nursing homes where they are barred from going outside and have little contact with others and no ability to object. What kind of home is that, where a person is barred in a nursing home? They can't communicate, they can't even fight for what they want because they're just there. They're given medication daily, so they can't, there's no fighting for it. This causes them to make crime. Like, they wonder why mental people are so messed up. Like, when they're treated so badly, they're not going to act right in society. They're just, all they know is hate, and that's how they're going to act. There needs to be people that are willing to fight for their rights and fight for these people who cannot communicate for themselves. In another article in my book, it's called I Am Adam Lanza's Mother. This mother's talking about her son who she was forced to send to a mental home because he threatened to kill her. So this is the quote that she said. When I asked my son's social worker about my options, he said that the only thing I could do was to get Michael charged with the crime. That's the only way to get anything done. No one will pay attention to you unless you've got charges. So basically, you have to be, the media has to be alerted for someone to get recognized. If there's an injustice taking place, no one's going to care unless the media knows, the public knows. And that's not right. Like, these people are being mistreated and no one's paying attention to them just because they're mentally ill and they have no regard for them. Like, they're not important, but other things are more important than these humans that are mistreated daily. So this causes people to mistreat them, and then they make crime, obviously. Makes sense. So then this neglection on these people, like I said again, it makes them hate themselves, self-pity, and frustration. Adam Lanza's mother also said, no one wants to send their 13-year-old genius who loves Harry Potter and his snuggle criminal collection to jail. But our society, with its stigma on mental illness and broken healthcare, does not provide us with other options. There needs to be a place where these mental people can go and get the proper help with the proper care that they need. It's not right that they have to get sent to these jail-like homes when there are other places where they can go and other treatment plans that can help them. So the solution to all of this would be to give them equality and happiness. They deserve it. They go through a lot of pain throughout the years that they've been alive. Still, like, people hate on them. They mistreat them. They bully them in school. And there needs to be better living situations for them where they can go somewhere safe and get the help they need. And proper prosecution and sentencing, because they don't deserve to be in jail. If they do create a crime, they need to get help because they're mental and that's why they're not thinking straight. So we need to take a stand and fight for these people's rights. It's not their fault that they're mentally ill, and they go through a lot of pain, and they deserve to have someone fighting for what they need. This quote's from Mark Twain. It was found after he died in some papers, and it says, "We are not reasoned out, we merely notice and conform. We are creatures of outside influence. As a rule, we do not think, we only imitate." We need to stop following the norm in society who mistreat these mentally ill people, and we need to fight for what they deserve, which is happiness, freedom, and equality. Thank you.